installed there in the middle, and I'm going to let you test it.
Okay.
And you're going to test it by sliding this way and this way. It shouldn't move more than an inch side to side or front to back.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you the difference in the two
Oh, there we go.
There is the movement. There is no.
Yeah, I see.
So you see how far your belt here, where it comes out of the seat?
Yes.
It's way in from the outside edge of the car seat. So
yeah, but if you move it like this, there is no safety. You can see it right there. Excuse me.
Hey, Mom. Right here.
So now let's move it out. I'll put it in the outboard position, and in this case I'm going to use latch. I think seatbelt or latch, we could do it fine either way, but we'll use latch just for sake of convenience.
Big difference. Oh my goodness. I can't move it. I can't. Look. Look. Saved. What a difference.
Well, you know, it would be fine if you only had one kid, but what if you have a couple other kids? This is a lot of things that a lot of times people are juggling, how to fit 3 car seats or 2 car seats. How can I fit 2 bigger kids next to that?
These are tough decisions that parents have to make. I mean, it's not a clear-cut
When is the best time to face a child around from rear-facing to front-facing?
Turning them around rear-facing and turn them forward-facing. That's a great question. And for years, the idea was, the standard is pretty much 1 year and 20 pounds. That's what all the infant seats, infant restraints had on their labels. Use rear-facing to 1 year and 20 pounds. We've learned over the years that rear-facing is a much safer way to transport a child than forward-facing, especially young children. It takes a long time for a child's musculoskeletal system to develop to where the spine, the head, neck, and spine is all developed enough and durable enough to withstand crash forces when they're forward-facing. So in a rear-facing restraint, they have support behind their head, neck, and spine all the time. If there's a frontal crash, which is the most common type of crash, then the impact is they're moving forward, so their head, neck, and spine is all protected by that car seat. If we turn them around at a year old, which is too early, then their system isn't developed enough to withstand those forces. So you've got a tiny little spine there about the size of your pinky, and if it's stretched too much, it doesn't have that much give. And if the head is, the weight of the head, a baby's head is much bigger in proportion. So that's a lot of weight and a lot of stress on a spine that's not developed to handle that kind of stress yet. So we recommend, and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends, up to about 2 years of age, or as long as that rear-facing restraint will allow. So if you go from an infant seat to a convertible seat simply means it converts from rear-facing to forward-facing. Convertible seats tend to have higher weight limits rear-facing than what the infant seats do. So if you take a convertible seat, a lot of those go up to 35, 38, even 40 pounds rear-facing. So most 2-year-olds will not exceed that limit until they reach 2-year-old, to the age of 2. So to answer your question in short, when is it safe? Keep them rear-facing as long as that rear-facing restraint will allow, about 2 years of age.
But don't they, in some European countries, I think in Scandinavia, don't they keep them rear-facing much longer than we typically do, like maybe 4 or 5 years old?
There are some countries that have higher standards than we do, and is that the safest? Yeah, probably is. It's probably, again, if you look at the dynamics, the crash dynamics, and how our bodies are affected by a crash, then again, we as adults would be safer. We'd have less strain on our body if we were rear-facing with that full protection from head to hip in a crash.
So then basically it's good to keep them rear-facing as long as possible, as long as the car seat can warrant it.
If you have a restraint that can accommodate that higher age and weight, it is the safest way to go.
That is a really good question. And that's along the same lines that you were mentioning in a booster seat. It's better to keep them harnessed as long as possible as well.
Absolutely. A 5-point harness is going to be safer than a lap shoulder belt in a booster seat with a lap shoulder belt. The 5-point harness offers more protection.
Is there a realistic age that you would recommend that, or a little range when they can move from a harness to a booster seat?
Well, again, you have to look at the maturity of the child. If they aren't, if they can't sit in position, stay in position for the length of the trip, to where the lap shoulder belt can do its job, then they're still going to be safer in a harness. So a 5 or 6 year old might sit just fine and stay in position for a lap shoulder belt, and then an 8-year-old may not be that way, to where they're moving, they're reaching for things, and that can be a problem, because if they're out of position in a lap shoulder belt when a crash occurs, it's not going to do its job. So you as the parent have to look at how is my child, how have they matured both physically and emotionally and mentally, to where they can stay in position for a lap shoulder belt to do its job. And the assurance of making sure that they're riding safely is just keep them in that 5-point harness until they're old enough to fit the adult belt.